green light. Go, go, go.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the finale of season 7. We've reached round 8, gotten here pretty quickly, and we're finishing at home. Well, for most of the field anyway. Finishing at KYALAMI. FIA grade 2 circuit right here in Midrand. 4.5 kilometer circuit, rich history of motor racing, and we're finishing here tonight in a 2-hour event, not the usual 90-minute race. A lot of cars already out there. 20 minutes qualifying. Seems like the most common manufacturers on the night will be Porsche and Ferrari. The cars do have a pair, except for the Lexus. Lexus the odd one out. Comes Sania, comes around the final corner, goes over the line to start his first quick lap. Will be one of the first runners. Set a lap time. We seem to have lost a runner. Sure who that was, but we have lost a runner. We had 17, we now have 16. Somebody disappeared, so hopefully they can get back. Still more than enough time, 17.5 minutes on the clock. No times as of yet. Judge tops the timing sheets, but there are no times as of yet. We have 4 Porsches, 5 Ferraris, 3 Audis, 2 Bentleys and a Lexus. I believe the driver we have lost may be Force. I don't see Force here, and I remember seeing Force here in practice, so seems like he's missing. Hopefully he can get back before the race. Springbok Gamer in the Lexus. Should argue extra points for brand loyalty. Watch the judge. Car moving around a little bit, but you can see the number there, the number above the car. That's the ping, and the higher the number, the more the connection is struggling. So that's why you see the car shaking around. That's not the driver out of control of the car. That's just what you see on your screens. So far, time's starting to come in. It's Ferrari 1-2, as it has been so many times this season in qualifying. Nick Leon from Sania. Just a 1/10 of a second between the two of them. We have Gavin in 3rd. Make it 100th of a second between the two of them, and then Gavin in 3rd, 2/10 down the road. Don't know what happened there with Gavin. I think he may have, yes, Gavin Gavin has disappeared from the lobby. Hopefully that's not internet for him. We can get him back, just 15 minutes on the clock. Needs to hurry. So far Nick Leon from Sania. Obviously with Gavin disappearing, that means Eleanor goes up to 3rd, Roadrunner 4th, then Ranger in 5th. We have Kuda in 6th. And then we have a time from the judge, but that doesn't look like a proper time. I'm sure something better is coming up next. Springbok Gamer looking to set his first quick time of the night. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead of him. We just want to give himself room. BR19. No lap time from him as of yet. In the Audi, he goes 6th. Nicely done. 2 seconds adrift from provisional pole. Another Porsche. And there's Max. No time just yet. With Max, looking for that first lap time of the night. He heads down now towards turn 12, or better known as the mine shaft. It's the penultimate corner. Got to be so careful with that curve on the inside. Doesn't get distracted there by the slower car on next to the wall. I would have probably got distracted by that. It's going to go over the line. Does he set his first lap time? Yes, he does. It's a 1:42.5. This will be his first proper lap. Goes into turn 1. Sorry, turn 2, Crowthorne, through the XK sweep. And then we've got to slow it down for barbecue. Slow left-hander, go up the old pit straight. And that leads you into a fast right-hander, that's Sunset. Followed by Clubhouse, slow left-hander. Start the S's. At first it's a decline and then it becomes an incline up the hill towards Crowthorne. Sorry, that's turn 10. And then the only corner on the track without a name is this one right here. That's turn 11. Max can come up with. As you can see, there was no lap time on the previous lap. This will be his first lap of the night. Currently 16. I want to put that up the order quickly. There we go, that's good enough for 8. Front, Nick Leon. He has gone faster, that's a 1:41.1. Roadrunner 2nd, Kuda 3rd, Sania now 4th. There is your provisional pole sitter, heading up through Leeuwkop. On the inside and then on the way out use all of the track. See Monkey's giving it everything on this lap. He's obviously tapped off. join Gavin, only for him to dive into the pits. Right behind Legend. Gavin's 7th at the moment in the Bentley, Legend 10th. They'll both be looking to get back out there and have a final run with just over 9.5 minutes remaining. Try and improve on that lap time one more time. So everyone in the stream, thanks for joining, thanks for watching, thanks for joining in the finale, round 8 of season 7. Obviously it's going to be 30 minutes longer than usual, not your regular 90-minute race. This will be a 2-hour race around KYALAMI. We do have the time multiplier on, so if the race does work as it is set to work, the race should start at track time 1 PM and end at track time 9 PM. So we'll have a day race that goes into the night, basically similar to the KYALAMI 9-hour in real life. Obviously that means the track will definitely evolve over the course of the race. Got to be able to handle this car over multiple conditions. Definitely not a sprint race, about the long game. Sania was 2nd. He's been dumped down to 5th since then. Eleanor, Pace, Kuda, Roadrunner all going quicker than him. He's still out there looking to improve. Find something a little better. You can find half a second, that'll be good enough for provisional pole. Not on this lap as we see him run wide. Crowthorne over the gravel. Join Gavin as he attempts sector 3 of this KYALAMI circuit. 4.5 kilometer circuit, slightly extended from what it was previously, 4.3 kilometers. So obviously when it was changed, rebuilt, relaunched in 2016. Track went through a state of decay, eventually got auctioned. Luckily the track was purchased by someone who loves motorsport, and Porsche CEO, Porsche South Africa CEO, basically purchased the circuit, and a 600 million rand project started, which rejuvenated the track into the FIA Grade 2 circuit you see before you now. Most of the circuit remains as it was. There are a few changes. Turn 1, it's about 400 meters down the road from where it used to be, just after the mine shaft. Corner the Crocodiles, a lot wider than it used to be. It used to be a much steeper braking point into a very tight right-hander. Track has also been widened. Few alterations to sector 3, should be pretty easy to get its grade 1 license. Gavin's still 7, hasn't been able to improve in the Bentley for now. Usually stays off that sausage curb on the inside, can really destabilize the car. I want to stay as close to the inside as you can there. Almost touching the football, and then over the line. Still no improvement from him. He stays 7th. No improvements at all in the last couple of minutes. That's over the line. Yet another lap. Let's say he stays 9th. Not the case, he actually drops a position, goes down to 10th. Having fun with cameras again. Roadrunner currently second. He's 3/10 adrift from where he'd like to be. He's currently on the front row, but that front row is not very safe. Look at the difference between LNR and Roadrunner. Just 5/100ths of a second. So it wouldn't take much to knock him off that front row. So that's why he's still out there, still trying to improve. Not quite happy with that time just yet. Just 15 runners. So Gavin has returned. He was one of the drivers that we lost early on. Could see him back, but he was third last time he was here. Another good lap by Gavin. He goes fourth now. And look at that, from second down to fourth. Actually, from second down to fifth. 5/100ths of a second. That's very impressive. 5/100ths of a second, covering 4 positions in the top 5. And Sania just outside of that, he's in 6th. If he can just find 2/10ths, he can jump 4 cars. That's how close all of those cars are. There's still a lot to play for the Ferrari driver. Just keep his head down. No change at the front, 2.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Nick Leon still on provisional pole. He sits in the pits. Is he going to go out there and have one final run, or is he happy with that? Just 2 minutes remaining on the clock, so if he's going to do something, he needs to do it quick. Roadrunner's still out there. He's going down the mine shaft. He's got a couple of cars in front of him. Not what you want if you're looking to improve. Kuda's still third. Gavin did go 4th. Eleanor 5th. Sania 6th. We actually have Volley in 7th. Nizmax 8th. B Racing in 9th. BR 10th. We have Legend 11th. Just ahead of Springbok Gamer in 12th. Ranger 13th. Then we have AD down in 14th. The Judge down in 15th. And the second of the 2 Bentleys down in 16th. Extremely close field. I think this might come down to a lot of the guys in this field having done a lot of laps around KYALAMI. Probably more than any other track on the game for some of them. And it's really reflecting in the lap times. Guys really close. Getting the limits out of their cars. Kuda still third. Roadrunner second. Leon will definitely not come out again. That will be his final time of 1:41.1. Roadrunner and Kuda know what they need to beat. Gavin is in the pits, so there will be no improvement from him. The best he can start is 4th. Pace and Sania still out on track, looking to improve. Crucially, both of them getting over the line just before the checkered flag. So those two should still have a lap in them, and they will be the last two to get use of the circuit. So that is the end of qualifying. Who's still out on track? We just have Eleanor out on track, Springbok Gamer and Boucher. So let's run through that field before the screen hops away. Don't think we'll see too many changes from now till then. Nick Leon looks to have taken provisional pole so far. Pace the only one, Eleanor Pace, the only one who can change that. He's currently going around the Crocodile Bend. Goes into Cheetah. That's where you want to miss the sausage curb. And then into the final corner. Ink where it is. Does he get a good run up the line? All he needs is a 10th or two, and he will find a couple positions. Was the final lap worth it? Yes, it was. Look at that. Pole position. Took it right to the end. Pushed it right to the end. And well, I was wondering, he kept on staying out there. Didn't want to come in the pits. Knew something I didn't, and that's because he was in the green the whole time. And he takes pole position going into the final round here at KYALAMI. So Eleanor from Nick Leon right at the end, 200ths of a second. And then Roadrunner in third, Kuda fourth, then we've got Gavin pushed down to fifth, Sania sixth, Volley seventh, Legend nicely into the top 10 at the end of the day there, 8th place, just ahead of Nizmax in 9th, B-Race in 10th, BR 11th, Springbok Gamer 12th, Ranger 13th, AD 14th, Boucher 15th, and it seems like Judge did set a lap time. Let's see if Judge will start the race. I'm not so sure about that, but that lap time was good enough for 16th, and no lap time from Foss. He left right in the beginning of proceedings. So that brings to an end the qualifying session. We now go into a slight session of limbo. This now between qualifying and the race. Guys doing their final adjustments. Hopefully everybody does remember it's a 2-hour race. Don't make any bad calculations with the fuel. Another thing to remember, not only is the race going to be 90 minutes longer than 30 minutes longer than usual, taking it up to a 2-hour race. It also has one extra mandatory pit stop. So each driver is required to do 2 mandatory pit stops, obviously within that pit window. If you come in and repair your car for damage before the pit window officially opens, that will not count as a mandatory stop. So obviously there's the, let's go over that field again. Guys are lining up on the grid now. There we go. We've got visuals. Eleanor, pole position from Nick Leon. Nick Leon was sitting in the pits. Probably thought that was pretty safe. Didn't see that coming from Eleanor. He was sitting in 5th. But the times were so close that he didn't need to find much to take a whole bunch of positions, and that's exactly what he did. And he had a clear track at the end to do it. Roadrunner 3rd. And then Kuda, that's your 2nd row. 3rd row, Gavin and Sania. 4th row, Volley and Legend. And on the 5th row, we have Nizmax and B Racing, the 2 Porsche. And then obviously just outside the top 10, BR in 11th, Springbok Gamer 12th, Ranger 13th, AD 14th, Boucher 15th. It seems like Judge will start the race. He does appear to be there on our timing screens. Either you'll see him moving around the track or you'll see him pop straight into the pits. One of the two.
30 seconds.
So just 30 seconds to go before the race begins.
20 seconds.
Ahead of us, 2 hours. This should be, if the lobby is working as it should, there should be
10
a
seconds.
transition from day to night. And there we go, you can see the leader just getting underway with the formation lap. Cars starting to snake along, starting to move around. There is definitely life in these things. They were sitting there for quite a while. He will lead the pack around. He will be followed by Nick Leon, Roadrunner. They'll stay interested. Obviously, one of the changes that was made when the track was relaunched was an extension of 400 meters to the main straight. That 400 meters came after the kink, pushing turn 2 further back. Kink is actually considered turn 1. Was now going around Sunset and now into Clubhouse. Important time now to get some temperature into the tires and into the brakes. Want to get decent temperatures going before turn 1. Once you get to turn 1, everything needs to be working. Most of the cars now just going through Leeuwcorp. That's the highest point of the circuit. See everybody starting to get into formation. That's because the real stuff is about to start. We're into sector 3. We go around the final corner now. They'll go up the straight. Does it look like Nick Leon is just ahead there?
Green light, give it okay.
Very, very close. Actually looks like Nick Leon is just ahead when they get going, but if they go down the hill now through the kink, down towards what I'm still going to call turn 1 because, well, there we go, into turn 1. Guys want to keep it clean, don't want any drama right at the start of the race. Obviously so long to go in this race. Speaking of drama, we have a car going off to the side. That is Kuda. Not quite sure what happened there, but obviously nicely done. Just sees there's still a few guys waiting to get back on their way there on the track. He waits, doesn't rejoin the track dangerously. Timing sheets going absolutely crazy here on lap 1. Eleanor leads. Leads the way quite comfortably, 1.8 seconds from Nick Leon in second. Gavin now in third. So he made up some positions right at the start of the race, as did Sania. He's up to 4th place. PR is in 5th. Legend, he's in 6th, making up 2 positions. Nizmac 7th, Ranger 8th. We have Boucher 9th, Folly 10th. Springbok Gamer 11th, AD 12th. Kuda, one of the losers at the start, 13th. He obviously had that incident just after turn 1 on the exit. Then we have Roadrunner 14th, B Racing 15th. And the judge makes up your field of 16. Eleanor goes around Ingwe corner and finishes your first lap of the race. Just an hour and 58 minutes to go, folks. Good times. Hello also to Muna and Devon in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Two of our drivers over on the PC side of things. Eleanor still leads from Nick Leon. That gap continues to grow, and it's growing very quickly. 2.4 seconds already. Gavin in 3rd, near 4th. Having a few internet problems on this side. There is Gavin. It's quite a favourite track for him. Won here a couple of times. He's just behind Nick Leon, keeping him honest, keeping him under pressure. He's under pressure himself from yet another Ferrari. Bentley sandwiched between Ferraris. Sania not far behind, 0.8 of a second. So whatever move Gavin decides to make, he needs to make that move with the knowledge that there is a Ferrari right behind him if he makes a mistake. Blue flags early on in the race. Roadrunner has got a 30-second stop-go penalty. Early stages of the race, things not going quite as planned for Roadrunner. Runs in 16th with a pending penalty. Surely he'll serve that as soon as he can. You want to get that block off your name. Leon was on provisional pole for almost the entire session, and then right at the end in the closing stages, Eleanor Pace took that away. Sorry, I'm just having some issues here on my side. We'll get the visuals back to you as soon as I have them. And there we go. Hopefully we don't get too much more of that. My CPU not having the best night. Not sure if it's my internet or my CPU, or the combination of the two. Gap now at the front, 3 seconds. Eleanor leads from Nick Leon. No change there. Gavin still 3rd, still holding on to that position. Near a little bit closer than he was on the previous lap. On the last lap, that gap was 8 tenths of a second. Now it's just 4 tenths of a second, so he has been able to halve it right on the back of the Bentley. And as I'm saying that, Sania has made an error. That is what's known as commentator's curse, folks. Talk too much about a driver, and that's going to happen. So we haven't seen how many positions he did lose. He seems to be behind BR. That would put him in 7th place. He loses a couple positions. That promotes Legend now up into 4th place. What a start to the race he's having. All he will want to do is get his head down, concentrate, stick to the strategy. I think he'd be pretty happy if you told him he'd be in 4th place. After lap 4. Further up the road, LNR. Gap coming down ever so slightly, 2.9 seconds. God knows he needs to hold on to that gap. Can't let that gap get too big. Obviously when the cars are relatively close together, matter of seconds, then pit stops come into play, and the overcut and the undercut come into play, and all sorts of strategies. But if you let that gap get too big, then you could give it away right at the start of the race. So it's important for him to come back. We saw that gap briefly touch 3 seconds, and now he's reeling it back in. Lap 5. Barely 10 minutes into this race. There has been carnage. There has been damage. There has been position changes. Things not going quite as planned. Here we have Legend. He's in one of the Ferraris, and he's not used to being one of the top Ferraris. But today, so far he is. Sits in 4th place, just ahead of Nismax. It's Audi, Porsche, Bentley. Sorry. Audi, Ferrari, Bentley. Ferrari, Porsche, Audi. Obviously the odd Lexus in 7th place. Boucher claims a position, goes past AD. Takes his Bentley up into 8th place. And what the other Bentley is doing up the road in 3rd, that car definitely does have the potential. Just needs to come to terms with it. There's Max. Still 5th. Probably wasn't too happy with his starting position, but be a lot happier with this. 5th place. Not all too comfortable. There's an Audi all over his mirrors. Awful lot of VWs in the field. If you consider Audi, Bentley and Porsche all being VW brands. Means 10 of the 16 cars of VW brands. Most people know that VW own Audi and Porsche. A lot of people don't know they own Bentley too. KYALAMI at the front, that gap has come down. I mentioned it, touched 3 seconds. And it seems like Nick Leon reacted and he started pulling it back ever so slightly. Now he's pulled it back a lot. It's 2 seconds now. So what will Pace do? Will he react and try go even quicker, or is this everything he has? Gap stays the same for now. 2 seconds, just drops a couple of hundredths off. Nothing much to speak of. AD now coming under pressure from Ranger Trevette. Gets him up the inside of the Inkware corner. Now AD will have the inside for the kink, so he should be able to reclaim, at least get his nose in front here for turn 1. That's what he has been able to do. Later on the brakes, needs to get it slowed down, not run wide. That's exactly what he does. Defends the position from the fellow Ferrari for now, holds on to 9th. Good racing by the two Ferraris in 9th and 10th. Back at the front, things are happening. KYALAMI just losing pace. What's going on? Or was Nick Leon taking it easy, warming things up? I'm not sure, but he's really pulled that gap down now. It says 1.2 on our screens. It doesn't look like 1.2. Let's see when they go over the timing beam. It's under a second, 9/10 of a second now, the gap for the lead. They stole that pole position from Nick Leon right at the end of the session. In fact, after the checkered flag had come down. Now Nick Leon coming back to reclaim that spot. The likes of Kuda, Sania, Judge, Volley, B Racing and Roadrunner have all done one of their 2 mandatory stops. So if they able to have a really long run, then should only stop once more. Still a very long way to go. We have not even reached our normal 90-minute distance. Leon all over the back of Pace. This should bring Gavin back into the equation if these two trip over each other at all. Gavin not able to stay with them for the time being. He's 4.2 seconds adrift. It was all over the back of Nick Leon, and then it seems like Nick Leon responded to that 3-second gap and said, right, I've got to go now. And Gavin just didn't really respond at the same time. He stayed further back, 4.1 seconds. Needs to try and close that gap now. Those two will be battling, so this will be a great chance for him to pick up a couple of tenths. Every time those two engage, they will slow each other down ever so slightly, whereas the man in third can just keep going. Legend still fourth. Must not look in his mirrors, must not get nervous. As Nismax behind him, as BR behind him. But he's done many laps of this circuit. He knows what to do, he knows what the racing line is, he knows what the braking points are. He just needs to remember to do everything at the right time, in the right order. Concentration. Concentration. Keep his head down, holding on to fourth for now, keeping Nismax behind him. And then Nismax also under pressure of his own. You are not far behind in the Audi. Springbok Gamer having a bit of a race of his own at the moment. He's 16 seconds adrift, 17 seconds almost adrift from 6th place, BR. He's going to come into contact with Boucher very shortly. Seemed to have an incident there on the outside of Leeuwkop where he just picked up a bit of gravel, would have really slowed him down. And now Boucher will be able to see him 4.2 seconds down the road. Will be his next target, 7th place. At the back, 16th, Roadrunner did not have the start he wanted to this race. He's got a long recovery drive ahead of him. But I still believe that from this point of the race, if you play your cards right, you can very much get a good result. He's in 16th now, it doesn't look that way, but obviously he just needs to stop one more time. So if he looks after his tyres and done his fuel correctly, shouldn't have to stop more than once from now till the end of the race, and he can have a long, lonely race. At the front, Nick Leon has dropped off just a little. That gap came under a second. It's just gone over a second now. Maybe just dropping back a bit. Followed him as closely as he could for a few laps. The mistake didn't come. Maybe just drop back for a lap or two, take a breather, and then go again. That gap now 1.3 seconds. You can see it visibly growing on screen. Gavin still third. And that seems like that podium is very safe at the moment. Where is Legend? Legend's heading down the old pit straight into Sunset with Nismax and BR right behind him. Something tells me he'll really be enjoying this segment of the race. And obviously if anything goes wrong for one of the three ahead of him, that's a podium position. So very important track position he's in right now, and he wants to hold on to that for as long as possible. He needs to remember the 2 mandatory stops. Obviously each stop is going to shake up the field, I believe. Especially with times as close as these. They're not going to come out in the same order, it's impossible. Sania, usually one of the faster Ferrari drivers, he's down in 10th. He's just behind Ranger. He's actually 5 seconds behind Ranger. Another fellow Ferrari. Another driver, Sania, on a recovery drive today, as is with Roadrunner. Same for Kuda. Didn't really see what happened with Kuda. Didn't see if he outbraked himself and lost it by himself, or he got a nudge that helped him into that wall. But obviously on the exit of turn 1, found himself on the outside of the track, stationary against a tyre barrier. And that's obviously not what you want at that point of the race, when all the cars are so close together. And that means when he finally got going, he was right at the back of the field. But he's done a good job so far. He's pulled that Porsche all the way back up into 11th place. And another man on a recovery drive, Sania, just 4 seconds up the road from him. Ranger 1.2 seconds from Boucher. No real battles on screen just yet. Legend and Nismac starting to get awfully close. That gap now dropping just under a second. Really comes down to when will these pit stops happen. Obviously this is a 2-hour race. It was one mandatory stop. I'd say, well, a lot of them are going to stop on the hour mark, but there's the 2 stops. So maybe who's going to take it long, who's going to run their tires long. A lot of strategies could come into play, and with 2 hours to really mess around with, I think some of the guys will really get creative. Or maybe we'll just get an incredibly busy pit lane and everyone will stop at the same time. Coming under all sorts of pressure now from Ranger. That gap also just under a second. Let's go to your leaders. 0.5 of a second covers the 2 of them. Nick Leon all over the back of the Audi ahead of him. He wants to get past. Wants to get past now. Said he was taking a breather. Well, now it doesn't look like he's taking a breather. Looks like he's having a second go at it. Nick Leon down the straight. Not close enough. Down into the kink. He's going to have to be incredibly late on the brakes, but he's too far back. And Eleanor has the line already. Together they go through the Yuxke sweep. Old iconic pit straight. This straight obviously is the old pit straight, but it ran in the opposite direction of what the cars are running now. Leon looks interested. This is a very tricky part of the racetrack if you want to pull off passes. They're heading now towards the S's. Keep our eyes on the rest of the racing. We also have a race here between Ranger and Boucher. Ranger goes up the inside. Is he able to hold on to it? Yes, he is. And Ranger goes up into 9th. Boucher loses a position. Is that Ranger past Boucher? Eleanor still holding on. Leon hasn't been able to crack that Audi driver just yet. Haven't had that break in concentration that he's been looking for. That missed braking point. They go around the final bend together yet again to start what will be lap 15. Nothing in between these 2 leaders, just 0.4 of a second. Legend also coming under pressure from Nismac. 0.6 of a second is the gap between those 2. Wish I could have more cameras so I could watch all the battles on screen. Sania now also putting Ranger Trevette under tremendous pressure, and he's going to get him up the inside here of Crocodiles, is he? Yes, he is. And he's cleared Ranger, and Sania makes up yet another position, and he goes up into 8th place on this impressive recovery drive so far. Eleanor still holding off Nick Leon. I was thinking Gavin would be able to utilize these two battling so hard, but at gap 7.6 seconds, not really able to do anything about the two ahead of him. They seem to be in a slightly different race. Three-tenths of a second is the gap at the front between the battle for the lead. Lap 16, the order stays the same. Nick Leon chases Eleanor around the circuit. Just can't find a way through. A little bit further down the road, there's a fight for 4th place. That's between Legend and Nizmax. Gap also 5/10 of a second. Call it half a second. That's what it is. And Legend doing a great job to hold on to that. This is going to get a lot more difficult at night. The guys have some tactics. You may have seen the one very briefly there from Nizmax as they joined the pit straight, just the flick of the lights. And obviously as the sun starts going down, every time a driver does have a flick of the lights, you're going to see it so much brighter. And sometimes it's enough just to put you off. Legend leads by 4/10 of a second from Nizmax. Nick Leon still chasing Eleanor pace. No change there at the front. Those are your two main battles on track right now. Battle for 4th, battle for 2nd. Sorry, battle for 1st. There is no battle for 2nd because Evan is down the road in a lonely 3rd. Can obviously get back into this race if he plays his pit stops correctly. Who will pull the trigger first of these top runners and come in for their first allotted pit stops? Battle in the front has calmed down somewhat, 1.2 seconds that gap, so it looks like maybe Nick Leon just taking that 1 or 2 lap breather again that we see in the times. We saw it earlier as well. So let's follow that fight for 4th place. Nizmax from Legend. Six-tenths of a second is the gap here. Tricky race circuit. A lot of the changes that were made after the auction were to increase passing at KYALAMI. Prior to the purchase, F1 said that the new KYALAMI circuit was much like Hungary when it came to passing. Last ever South African Grand Prix hosted in 1993 was won by Williams. It was Alain Prost. fact, the last 3 South African Grand Prix were won by Williams. 1993, Alain Prost. 1992, Nigel Mansell. And then a bit of a gap, 1985, also Nigel Mansell. KYALAMI was also the test venue for the fabled Williams 6-wheel car that never saw the light of day on a racetrack. Obviously the 6-wheel Tyrrell was banned by the FIA, and the 6-wheel Williams that was in development and being tested at KYALAMI never saw a racetrack as a result. So the main difference between those 2 6-wheel cars was the Tyrrell had 2 sets of wheels in the front, whereas the Williams had 2 sets of wheels at the back. Back at the front, not much has changed. Pace leads from Nick Leon, 1.3 seconds is that gap, so he's let up a little bit of steam. Gavin third, 9.2 seconds adrift from Nick Leon. And then Legend, still doing everything he can to keep that Porsche behind him. Now Legend dives into the pits for what will be the first of 2 mandatory stops that'll allow Nismax through into 4th place. Now what's important here is if Legend was holding Nismax up, by coming in first, he's now released Nismax. If Nismax is able to go quicker over the next 4 or 5 laps and then do his pit stop, well then those 2 will in theory swap positions. This is where the stops come in and really swap up the field when the times are close. And we're going to have 2 rounds of these pit stops. Some of the guys have already done that first mandatory stop earlier on in the race due to damage. Legend is on his way. He's in the pit exit now, heading down towards turn 1, and a car goes past him for good measure. And it's Springbok Gamer, which means Legend then rejoins the race in 11th place. Your screens say 10th, but I believe that will change to 11th when he goes over the timing beam, because Springbok Gamer did manage to get past him just into turn 1 there. So Springbok Gamer still needs to pit, as do most of the cars ahead of Legend, with the exception of Huda and Sania. They just have 1 mandatory stop each. They both did stops at the beginning of the race. Back to the Ferrari that's on a recovery drive. That's Sania in 6th. You can see now the car's starting to light up. Ferrari already has its lights on, as does the Audi just behind it. Going to be an interesting finish to this race, and it will be our first nighttime finish of the season. You see round 4 in Bathurst was supposed to run on exactly the same criteria as this race here at KYALAMI. 2-hour race, 2 mandatory stops, starting in the afternoon and ending at night, but that lobby was broken with the times, and we started in the middle of the night and we ended in the early hours of the morning, which is probably not how you want to have a race. But seems like everything's working this time. Will get darker. And eventually, it will be lights out. You're going to have to use your headlights, because this race will finish at 9 PM. And in this part of South Africa, by 9 PM, it is well dark. Keep on watching these guys at the front to see who does jump first to do the mandatory stop. We have Judge, speaking of jumping, Judge is jumping on the circuit. Seems to be having internet issues. Hopefully that's not what the other drivers are seeing. That Porsche is a bit all over the place. Leon again within a second, so starting to close that gap up again. We saw it getting bigger over the last 2 or 3 laps. Now is it time for him to reel in Alanai again? Maybe try and catch him, pass him through the traffic. They are approaching traffic, and maybe if you can just stay on the gearbox of that car, if a mistake does come, you capitalize. Just over an hour and 20 minutes to go. We've done 1/4 of the race. Still a long way to go. Legend now coming up on the back of Springbok Gamer. Had a fantastic first, start of the race, in the first segment of the race before the pit stops. Got himself up into 4th and was able to defend that position until his pit stop. Came out in 11th behind Springbok Gamer and has now reclaimed that position for the time being. Goes up into 10th place. Springbok Gamer loses a position, goes down into 11th. A 30-second pit. Oh no. I almost don't know what to say. I'm sorry, Gavin. But before the race, I jokingly told you, slow down for the speed limit. Gavin in 7th emerges from the pits from his first mandatory stop to find a stop-go 30-second penalty waiting for him. And remember, if he's going to do that every time he pits, there's still 1 mandatory stop to go. That'll hurt him. He's down in 8th, and obviously he's going to have to go in again. It's really going to push him down the field. And he was having a really strong race. That has promoted BR up into 3rd. We have Audis in 1st and 3rd. And Audis and Ferraris cover your top 5. Heard someone predicting a battle of the Porsches. But the highest placed Porsche is 7th. As Max has also made that mandatory stop, and as you can see, he came out 1.6 seconds ahead of Legend. And not too far behind Gavin. Gavin will obviously dive into the pits. There we go. He's serving that stop go 30-second penalty, and we have another penalty, stop go penalty for the judge. So he's also going to have to come in next time round and serve that penalty. That's going to push him right to the back of the field. He's not going to be happy about that at all. Back at the front, Eleanor, Nick Leon, no change between these two, 7/10 of a second. These two have raced each other from the start of the race right till now, not giving each other any space, any rest. Who's going to pull the trigger first when it comes to the pit stops? They will be crucial. Kevin's still in the pits. But that is not the end. There we go. He's on his way. Looked like he had been sitting there for a while. Stop and go penalty has been cleared for car number 1. That is the Gav Pig. The only driver on the night playing out of Ghana. Judge goes over the line without serving the stop-go penalty, so obviously he has another 2 laps to serve that penalty. I think you get 3 laps to serve it. Not quite sure what happens if you don't, but I assume a more severe penalty. Leon and Pace all over each other, 6/10 of a second. Max and Legend finding each other on track yet again. They spent a large part of the race together, and now there they are. The order has just switched. Now it's Legend behind Nizmax. That'll be interesting to see. Is he able to match the pace of that Porsche? Is he able to stay with it? Is he able to pass it maybe? Seems like best race of the season for Legend so far is the finale. Seems quick, seems confident, going at the Porsche, definitely not dropping back. Keep our eyes on that battle. That battle at the front, just 3/10 of a second. Nick Leon can't find a way through. Stays behind Eleanor. Will anyone dive into the pits this time? No. Go around the final corner to start lap 26. And no way through for Nick Leon. Wonder if he's just happy to follow him. If you are the car in second and you know you're faster, you know you can pass him in the pits. Maybe he's just waiting for that first round of pit stops. But Eleanor has not pulled the trigger. Don't think he would pull it first. Might come out in traffic. That would deem the undercut useless. AD has been in the pits for quite some time, so I'm gonna call that. I think that is his race. So that means we're down to 15 runners. His Max is in 6th. He has done that mandatory stop, as has the Porsche ahead of him. That's Gouda. Gouda has had a good drive considering where he was at the end of lap 1. 5th place for him. Another recovery drive and success story is Sania. He's back up into 3rd, but far behind Nick Leon. Those two were very close in pace when it came to qualifying, but then Sania had some bad luck. Further down the field, Ranger still 9th. Springbok Gamer into the top 10. He's got a bit of a train behind him with Gavin and Volley, and that is for position. That's 10, 11 and 12 running line astern. Springbok Gamer will do what he can to defend. Gavin now goes side by side. The Lexus has got the inside. Head down the hill. He's going to have the inside for the mine shaft as well. Gavin will try to go to the inside of the track. Get late on the brakes, doesn't quite work. Touches the grass, tucks back in behind the Lexus. Looks to fight another day. Through Cheetah, don't touch the curb. And up through Inkware. You look for that gap on the inside. Springbok Gamer leaves no gap on the inside. And up the straight yet again for lap 28. Gavin will be doing everything to get past that Lexus. Doesn't want to stay there. Knows he's quick. Again, just having a few issues on my side with the visuals. I'm going to try and get those back to you as soon as I can. Just getting very choppy visuals on my side. Obviously this gets streamed from a PS4 to my PC, and then from my PC it's going up onto the web. So I apologize for the quality of the stream tonight. Just things not going my way. There we go. Internet not having the best day, but you can see that, I'm sure. And I have lost visuals. That is not what I wanted at this point. Not what you wanted. Try and get that back for you as soon as I can. And there we go. So hopefully we can keep the connection going for a bit of time. Nick Leon still leads. Sania now second. That would mean that Eleanor has come in to make that pit stop. Nick Leon leads because he has not made a pit stop. He still has those 2 mandatory stops that he needs to make. And Sania, well, so far, driver of the day. In terms of positions, I think he's been in every position in the field at some stage. Sania into the pits. This will be his 2nd time into the pits. I'm not sure if he'll be using it as his first mandatory. Nick Leon is on his way. And with Sania diving into the pits, it means that Nick Leon will keep the lead of the race, I believe. Yes, he does. There's Eleanor just behind him. And they've got Ranger in between. The lap driver just to give Nick Leon a little bit of a cushion while he's trying to warm those tyres up. Eleanor can't get at him. Gap at the front is just 1 second. You can obviously now see visually. It's starting to get dark. Lights starting to come into play. It's only going to get darker. Just over an hour to go. Almost at halfway distance. Sania becomes the first driver to get a little green block next to his name. That means all mandatory pit stops are done. Can he pull off the longest run over and finish the race from here? Would be very possible. 5 cars ahead of him all need to pit. We ride with the leaders, Eleanor and Nick Leon. They've been close together all race. Gavin running wide there on the exit of Barbecue Bend. It's not going to give him the optimal traction up the straight and into Sunset. Going to give Springbok Gamer a breather. Gap increases just slightly up to 8/10. Still nothing in it. Volley still right behind Gavin, so those 3 cars have not been able to break position at all. Gavin now looks like he's getting interested again. They head down the mine shaft. Close and he's waiting for that mistake to come from that Lexus. Springbok Gamer doing everything he needs to do and putting that car everywhere he needs to put it just to keep that Bentley behind him for now. Now things getting really close. Look at that, around the outside. Gavin thought it had to happen now. Tried to go around the outside. Very late braking. And almost lost the position to Volley. Springbok Gamer manages to get back past down the straight, and this is fantastic racing. Now Volley up the inside, was thinking about going up the inside of the Bentley, thought better of it. Bentley closed the door through the EXK sweep and into Barbecue once more they go. Now Volley up the inside, he was on the curb there. He's looking to get past. Seems like Gavin's lost a bit of momentum. Audi wasn't giving him too much trouble, but now that Audi's all over the back of him. And that's how quickly things can change. He's getting frustrated behind the Lexus. In for a move. And almost lost the position in the process of trying to make one. Back at the front. 0.4 of a second is the gap. And then right behind Nick Leon, wants to get by, wants to take the lead of this race back. As he was leading before the pit stops began. Obviously Nick Leon was able to jump him in the pit stops. Now he wants that position back. Awfully close. 1/10 of a second down the straight they go. Thinks about the outside. Nick Leon closes the door. Not now. It's going to take a mistake. Not easy to pass at KYALAMI. Two and a half tenths. Battle for the lead. Further back, Springbok Gamer, Gavin, Volley, all close together. Will we see 3 wide into sunset? No, we won't. Sanity prevails. Cars were lining up in such a way that I just visualized 3 going wide into a corner. Now Volley up the inside. Puts the Bentley off. And there we go. Volley takes the position and Gavin now falls to the back of that trio. He was trying to get past Springbok Gamer. Last thing he wanted to do was lose a position. And now Volley will go up into 11th. Visuals again just going away from us. Speaking of, here is Volley. He got past Gavin on the previous lap. He's gonna now try and defend that position as well as possibly get the position ahead of him. Springbok Gamer not too far down the road, 0.7 of a second. Springbok Gamer's made a mistake, or was he bumped? We didn't see it, or at least I didn't see it. I wasn't looking at the screen at that very moment, but when I looked I saw him go sideways.
Keep pushing.
50% of the race is complete. Springbok Gamer went sideways. And that means Volley and Gavin will both be promoted by 1 position to 10th and 11th. Springbok Gamer down to 12th. And if he didn't lose it, I do apologize, but I wasn't looking at my screen at that very moment. I don't know if he got tapped at the back, or if that was just the slightest error. Having all sorts of problems with the visuals here today. All I can do is apologize for the quality of the stream. See what we can do to try and sort this out for you next week. Guys, we're asking for a higher quality on the stream, so I tried a few things, and I think I'm going to revert those things back next week. Don't quite remember having so many issues. But Leon still leads. Gap is a second. And there's Max now third. That's over the line. Start lap 35, just under an hour to go in this race. We've just passed halfway race distance. Kevin's still behind that Audi of Volley. Can't find a way through. Volley passed him 2 or 3 laps ago. Then Springbok Gamer lost 2 positions. Judge allowing fellow Porsche driver remember that he's following fellow Porsche driver 6/10 of a second. That's 13 and 14. Three cars in this field have done both mandatory stops. Those are Sania and Kuda, both on recovery drives. There's Roadrunner, also done all the mandatories. Legend is back into 4th place. Was in 4th place earlier on in the race. Nismax behind him. Now he's in 4th place with Nismax ahead of him. Extra position is now obviously available in that top 3 with the departure of Gavin via stop-go penalty. He opened up a position in 3rd place. Nismax holds on to that final podium spot for now. But obviously the top 2 just in a race of their own. Kuda was the leading Porsche, now Nismax the leading Porsche. Kuda's done both mandatory stops, Nismax still needs to do one. And Kuda and Sania are potentially in a very strong position going forward here. If they're able to take the tyres to the end of the race, they could make up some very interesting track position. Now it's really starting to get dark, just seeing the lights of the cars coming out. And much of the detail shrouded in darkness. I thought about it, went towards the inside and then said no, not now. Tucked back in. Follows Nick Leon. Folly has lost a few positions. He's now behind Springbok Gamer, but I think that's because he's done another pit stop, so he has also completed his rounds of mandatory stops. He's in 12th. 4 cars have done the mandatory stops: Ania Kuda, Volley and Roadrunner. We're going to have to go back to previous settings for the next round. Let's see if that will help. Probably been the worst quality stream all season, and it's for the finale. It's not what I would have wanted. No change at the front. These two have been picture perfect. They've matched each other lap after lap, corner after corner. They haven't made a mistake. Further down the road and on the final step rather, of the podium is Nismax. Still has a mandatory stop to do, as does the car behind him. 8.6 seconds down the road, Legend. Also one mandatory stop to do. Then your highest placed runner to have done both mandatory stops is your 5th place, Sania. Seems to be enjoying the KYALAMI circuit. Give you a bit of a driver's perspective. That is what it looks like to Eleanor Pace, currently in 2nd. Just a few tenths of a second adrift from the leader. 2/10 of a second slower than Nick Leon on that previous lap. So we're trying to just stay with him. And then this gives us a great impression of what they can see, and what they can see is not much. There's no floodlights around KYALAMI. You rely on the headlights of the cars. Bit of artificial lighting here and there, but not a lot. So probably the darkest part of the racetrack is when you dip into the S's. Right here, to the left-hander. As it is a 2-hour race, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to leave you with the coverage. I'll leave you with the sounds of the cars to enjoy, and I'll be back. Leon still leads this race from LNR. Gap now bigger than it's been in quite some time. Well, biggest gap we've seen was 3 seconds, and that was when LNR was leading from Nick Leon. It's now approaching that stage again, 2.8 seconds. Nick Leon leads. Legend in third. Sania here ahead. So timing screen's wrong then. Right, Sania did manage to get past Legend. Wasn't sure what we were seeing there on our screens, but now Sania makes a mistake and into the gravel. Really one of the quicker drivers here at SSR, but that's a bit of a story of his season. So quick. But the errors. Top 4, all have one mandatory stop to make. Those are Nick Leon, LNR, Nizmax and Legend. Sania, top runner to have done both mandatory stops. He's in 5th, followed by BR. Then Kuda in 7th, also done 2 mandatory stops. Ranger 8, Voucher 9, Springbok Gamer 10. Those are your 10 from 15 runners. Outside the top 10, Volley, Gavin, Judge, Roadrunner and B Racing. Eleanor now starting to pull that gap back slightly. Wonder if he maybe made a mistake, and that's why Nick Leon was able to open that gap so quickly, up to 2.8 seconds. Pulled it back to 2.1 and now 1.9. So starting to come backwards again. These cars seem to be magnetically attracted to each other when they get too far apart. All of a sudden, Max in 3rd, but in a very different race to the 2 cars ahead of him. You don't even get a time difference between 2nd and 3rd when he crosses the speed trap, because there's too many speed traps between the cars. So massive gap between 2nd and 3rd. There is Sania. His next target will be Nizmax, 3.3 seconds up the road from him. Nizmax has his hands full with traffic. He's trying to get past the 10th place Lexus of Springbok Gamer. Sania will see that up the road and he'll think, right, it's time to make up positions. And as we say that, Nizmax sweeps around the outside there. Springbok Gamer makes it easy. And now there's a car between the 2 of them. Back 2.1 seconds at the front, seems to have stabilized for now. Ranger 8th, Voucher 9th, Legend 7th, train of cars starting to form. Battle for 7th. Legend has done both mandatories. There's Kuda and Sania ahead of him. All the other cars ahead of him are yet to stop. Nick Leon, Pace, Sania, BR. Sania has stopped. "15 of the 17 that started, or 17 that qualified." Lost force right at the beginning of the session, as we have a lot of rounds this season. So another thing to remember is KYALAMI finale is worth double points. So whatever position you finish in, you can double those points and then add those points to your championship. Obviously that counts towards the drivers and the constructors. So if a team sees that they can jump a position with a really good result, obviously those points also get doubled. There's still a lot to play for in terms of the championship. Ranger just spending some time off track there, as you can see from the footage. 40 minutes to go. Guys that have raced this season at this point in the race should feel like there's about 10 minutes to go and you're in the closing stages and you can pat yourself on the back, but not this case, not this time round, because we've added 30 minutes to the final round. So that 10 minutes remaining, 40 minutes remaining, this is when the concentration is going to get pushed that little bit more. Luckily practice was set to 30 minutes rather than the usual 60 minutes. So the 30 minutes we add to the race we removed from practice, and that allows us to finish the race at more or less the same time as what we usually do, because I don't think we want to sit here till midnight. Have guys yawning on the last 10 laps, crashing into each other and doing all sorts of crazy things. Leon still leads on lap 46 from LNR, and that gap is still just 1 second. So they're matching each other over and over. Seems like the gap can extend to about 3 seconds, and then the car behind can just react to the car in front, whether it's Nick Leon or LNR. We've seen it in both cases, just in different phases of the race. Which one of these two will pit first? It's Sania. Sania's up into 3rd place. As Max has also done both mandatories. So now still to do a mandatory is your 1st and 2nd place, Nick Leon and LNR, and then BR in 4th place is yet to stop, as is Boucher in 8th, Ranger in 9th, and the Judge in 14th. As I say that, Judge has jumped into the pits, Boucher is in the pits, and Ranger are all stationary in the pits. So after this, just 3 cars yet to do a mandatory. All of them in the top 4. And the remaining car in the top 4 that has no pit stops left, that would be Sania in 3rd place. I would be shocked if he came back into this race and challenged the top 2. but today's been a brilliant example of what it means. If you mess up lap 1, don't give up. It's a long race, and he's shown that. Archer was in the pits, but he's now emerging from the pits. Just 3 cars still to do those mandatories. All of them in the top 4. All of them in crucial positions. Up at the front, holding firm, 1 second, not even moving. Here we go, 1.1 seconds, there is a move, thank goodness. I thought my timing screen was broken. No, don't need that to break too tonight. Five minutes to go. Legend is in 7th. Found himself up as high as 4th earlier on in the race. Still so much can happen. 3 cars ahead of him that still need to do that mandatory. Wonder which one of these two is going to pit first. Last time around, Eleanor led the race from Nick Leon. Very similar situation to what you see in front of you right now, except the cars were reversed. On that particular occasion, Eleanor, the leader, he pit first, and Nick Leon was able to jump him. Nick Leon will have that in the back of his mind, and he'll be thinking twice about pulling the trigger first. Both of them obviously on exactly the same strategy, and they're going to have very fresh tyres right at the end of the race here, so they're going to have some quick lap times, fresh tyres with a light car towards the end. Said there were 3 cars to do their mandatory, there's just 2 now, and it's the guys in 1st and 2nd, because BR is stationary in the pits. You can see his Audi there. Let you know when he gets going and where he comes out. Keep our eyes on that. Max has passed him. Cooder has passed him. Where is Legend? Legend's coming down the pit straight right now. And BR drops off the jacks and gets underway. I think that's it. BR will come out of the pit lane in 7th place. Legend does claim a spot for that pit stop. He will go up into 6th. The two Porsches ahead of him, Kuda and Nismax. It's near third. And how close will he get to those two cars in front of him after they have pit? You see, he will be on a very different set of tyres. Much older set of tyres. First and second will come out and have blisteringly quick tyres. With light fuel loads. So Neil will have the light fuel load. His tyres won't be that great in the closing stages of the race. Go back to the battle for the lead, because these two cars have found each other again. 4/10 of a second is the gap. Eleanor pace all over the back of Nick Leon. Is it really worth it making the pass now on track when you both have to do a mandatory stop within the next 30 minutes? Worth going side by side and risking damage before that last round of pit stops? Just gonna pull the trigger first here. Somebody gonna dive into the pits, or they're both gonna go around the final corner? It's Eleanor. Pulled the trigger first the first time round. He's gonna pull the trigger first. Second time round, just couldn't find a way past Nick Leon, and he's decided to pit. I'm not sure, but I really think Nick Leon will probably dive into the pits the very next lap. It's not in his best interest to stay out there for 3 or 4 laps. So that means pace would come out, warm those tyres up, and with a very low fuel load and very fresh tyres, he could get some interesting laps in and jump Nick Leon in front of him. So I think the best way to defend against that being a possibility is to pit the very next lap. So will we see a pit stop from Nick Leon? Race gets underway now. Where is Nick Leon? He's heading up towards Crowthorne. Now down the hill towards the mineshaft. Touch and go. When does he pit? Does he pit now? Does he pit later? Does he try and put a few good laps together and pit in 5 laps time? What is the plan? So frustrating. We don't know. We have to just keep watching. He does dive into the pits very next lap. Was waiting for Eleanor to pull the trigger. Eleanor did pull the trigger, and that vindicated him to come into the pits the very next lap. 9 seconds, near third. Gap between second and third is 25 seconds. Senior's done a great job to get back on the podium, but those two cars ahead of him simply in another league tonight. Leon stationary in the pits, no movement from him just as of yet. Eleanor is coming around Cheetah Corner and going towards Inkwe. Where is Nick Leon? He's getting underway now. Pace will be coming around the final corner. It's going to be close, but I think Nick Leon's done just enough to hold on to the lead. Has he? Where is Pace? He's done just enough. And Nick Leon leads from Eleanor pace, and he's got two back markers in between him and the man in second for good measure. And I really think if he had stayed out there for another lap or two, he could have very well come out behind the Audi, and that's why he needed to react immediately, and that's what he did. Fantastic driving, good thinking, quick thinking. And Nick Leon manages to hold on to the lead. Everyone in the field has done that mandatory stop. Hopefully pit stops are out of the equation for the rest of the race. Minutes to go. Nick Leon from Eleanor, as it has been for most of the race, except in the first stint when Eleanor led from Nick Leon, but some combination of those two cars has led the race for the whole race. Senior third. Had a terrible start to the race, but he was able to really get an amazing drive out of tonight. One of the better recovery drives you'll ever see. He's up to third. With Max in fourth. We have a stop-go 30-second penalty for car number 1. The Bentley of Gavin gets his second drive-through 30-second penalty for the night. Last time we saw him get one of those was on one of the mandatory stops. He's been able to get another one. It's not going to help his race chances, and that could very much bring him back out behind B Racing in 14th. So that's another position he would lose. Currently he's running around in 13th. Nick Leon still in the front. Eleanor still looking for that mistake. Mistake not coming. Two of them getting so close here in turn 1. Brilliant driving in the dark. Getting so close and not making contact. Brilliant driving from both of them on the night. These two fighting have any realistic chance for Senior being able to come back at them? We'll monitor the gap, but it's 29.5 seconds, so it's actually going the other way than what Senior would like. Approaching the half a minute mark. Lap 56, Nick Leon from Eleanor near third. Max fourth, Kuda fifth. Legend still having a fantastic race, 2 positions down from the best position he found himself in all race. That was towards the start of the race. He was running around in 4th, now running around in 6th. BR 7th, Volley 8th. See Ranger in 9th. Boucher making up the top 10. And Gavin serving that penalty. He is stationary in the pits. Don't know what's wrong with the man's brake pedal. Just can't manage to slow down for that pit limiter. Or the pit speed limit rather. He has not emerged from the pits, so again, I wonder if that is him calling it a day and he has no interest in returning back out. Remember, 15th, you still get points, plus tonight is double points. I think 15th is 5 points, which means you'll get 10. Might be worth your while. Not to drop the race at this late stage. Such a long race, just 20 minutes to go. If I get this far into a long race, even if I am in last, I'm going to make a point of finishing it. Even if everyone has to wait for me to finish it. Long races are very rewarding when you finish them, but these two in front, they've got a 90% of the coverage tonight, and I don't feel bad about it because it's been brilliant racing. These two never more than 3 seconds apart, and most of the time they've been within a second, fighting all the way for over an hour and 40 minutes. These two have been at it, and now they're heading side by side down into the mine shaft, and Nicoleon is gonna come out with his nose in front. Eleanor doing everything he can, throwing everything he can at that Ferrari, and it's just a few tenths short of what he needs. Really close here on the exit. It's gonna give it everything down the main straight. Gonna have to get side by side. This is too far behind. There we go. That he thought about it. Thought better of it. Tucks in behind the Ferrari, but that does put the Ferrari off. He runs wide a little bit. That puts you off into Yixke, and that lets Eleanor come right back. And they're right back together on the old pit straight. The battle continues at the front. Further towards the back, Sania doing a good job in 3rd place. Doesn't want to make any more mistakes, wants to hold on to that and bring home a podium. And Kuda 5th, Legend 6th. No changes there. That 6th place does look safe if he's just able to hold things together. Because BR is 18 seconds down the road from him in 7th. And we have Volley in 8th, Ranger 9th, and Boucher making up the top 10. Gavin has not emerged from the pit, so that will be Gavin's night. He will not collect points for 15th place then. And we are now just running the 14 drivers. KYALAMI not going the way of the big tonight. At the front, Nick Leon still leads that gap a little bit bigger than it was a lap ago, when Eleanor was throwing absolutely everything at it and they were side by side and I wasn't sure who was going to come out in front. Nick Leon got his nose in front and managed to hold on. It's normal for the next lap or two for the car in second to drop back slightly as it thinks, as it can sit there, look at the leader and think, right, what am I going to do differently this time? It didn't work last time, but I need to get past him. Plan your next attack and off you go. "59 laps now of the KYALAMI Grand Prix circuit. Heading towards the 60 lap mark. Seems all the pit stops are done for the night. This is a busy part of the racetrack. What's happening over here? The result of that, Boucher has just become the top running, only running Bentley. 14 runners remain of the 17 that started. Springbok Gamer has had a relatively quiet race. He's in 11th. Legends in 6th here. He's got Kuda just ahead of him, 0.6 of a second up the road, and he's putting pressure on that Porsche ahead of him. You can see that 6th place potentially. Now that was Judge getting off the racetrack, letting a smattering of cars lap him and then just getting really close to the tar and putting Kuda off slightly. That's going to allow Legend to get even closer. Gap 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second as we go over the speed trap. Can he do anything into turn 1? Not this time around. He's too far back, surely. Saw the nose just twitch to the right and then think no. No change at the front in the top 3. 4th and 5th are Porsches. Legend still putting that Porsche under pressure. So pushing Kuda till the end of the race. He would love to take that 5th position and end the season on a high. He now goes side by side with Kuda and decides against it. Tucks in behind the Porsche once more. We'll also see Nismax not too far down the road. If you can get past Kuda, there's always the possibility to take something really special. I think he'd be happy with that top 5. This There's another example how difficult it is to pass KYALAMI. He seems to have the pace, but when we get into the corners, there's just really nowhere to go. KYALAMI, the host of the most South African Grand Prix, but not the only host of the South African Grand Prix. East London was the first host of the South African Grand Prix on a track that was approximately 26 kilometers long. That track has obviously been farly reduced over the years, and now it's a permanent track. And it's just under 4 kilometers long. Still has the GP in its name, so it is called officially East London Street Circuit, East London Grand Prix Circuit, and hosted F1 back in the day. Was initially removed from the calendar because Joburg Airport and East London were just too far away from each other. Teams didn't want to get to South Africa and still have to travel so far. Hence KYALAMI was built. 30 minutes from the airport, 30 minutes from Johannesburg, and 30 minutes from Pretoria. But they couldn't have predicted in the early 60s when they built it that it's now in the middle of a logistical nightmare. When the track was built, a very quiet place was Midrand, mostly plots and farms and nothing much else, but if you go to Midrand today, that's not what you're going to find. You're going to find a very, very busy area, and every little piece of land is sought after and doesn't stay for sale for long. That's why the track can't have any major changes to it. All the land around the KYALAMI race circuit has been sold. You see, KYALAMI race circuit owned the original plot of land, which was 3 times the size of what it is now. Has been sold off over the years. And now any alterations KYALAMI do make to their racetrack are going to have to be on the land that they own. This thing's getting messier towards the end of the race. So many cars in the same part of the racetrack. Makes you nervous. We have Boucher. He's actually got the leaders coming up behind him. There's no pace ahead of Nick Leon. They're far up the road from 3rd place, Sania. Thanks for all the likes on the channel, and thanks for all the views on the channel. So we got up to quite a bit earlier on in the peak of this race, which was more or less in the first third. It was a long race, didn't expect to keep most of you. But great to see more and more people joining the stream, clicking on Sonic Sim to come and have a look what is going on, and showing their support for the Thursday Night League. Obviously this is the final round and we go into a break. I don't actually know any info about a new season or if there is one, but I'm sure that will be advertised shortly. I'm not sure if I'm going to be back as a commentator for Season 8, but we'll see when that time arrives. But you will still be hearing from me every Sunday night. Obviously SSR doing another league on PC there, and that's where my voice will be. We'll be moving over from Thursday to Sunday for the next couple of weeks, at least until Thursday night league returns. But I'm sure as soon as that information is available, it will be shared with anyone who is looking to get interested, get joined, and start driving. Info will be out shortly. So you can join Sonic Sim on Discord. You can join us on Twitter. You can contact us on Twitter or on Discord, and obviously that will start the process of getting you on the grid and being part of some of this awesome racing that we've seen today. If we can see more of what we've seen between first and second today, I wish we had seen this the whole season. I don't think I've ever seen two cars fight for this long and match each other's pace. Very impressive stuff. Just over 5 minutes to go. We are in the final stretch. Change at the front, pace from Nick Leon. Shania still third, 5 minutes exactly to go. 3 laps to go in this race. Don't take me on my maths isn't that good to start with, and I've been talking to myself for over 2 hours, so I'm starting to get a little tired. But I think there's 3 laps to go in this race, which means we'll end on lap 69. 69 laps of the KYALAMI circuit, starting 1 AM track time, ending 9 PM. 1 PM track time to 9 PM track time. Simulating the KYALAMI 9-hour event that takes place in November here in South Africa. So we had the inaugural round of that a lot of the drivers you see there in your field actually went to and watched. And then we had the second round of the KYALAMI 9-hour last year, but unfortunately no spectators. We'll watch that on television like the rest of the world. Tonight these two have shown that close racing over a long period of time with no contact is definitely possible. Seen attack after attack, corner after corner. I haven't seen contact between these two. I've only seen good driving. Let's hope I don't jinx it now. Nick Leon right on the gearbox of Valena as they go through the XK sweep. Thought he was actually going to take it late on the brakes there into barbecue, but he did not. He kept his patience. Stays behind him going through sunset. Wants to be as close as he possibly can. Thought about going up the inside. This race is still not decided with 2.5 minutes to go. The leader under pressure, the man in second throwing absolutely everything at him. going to be about saving the tires or conserving the fuel at this stage of the race. You've done all that. You've done all the management during the course of the race. Now it's the end of the race. It's about getting your foot down, finding the gap, going for it. And Nick Leon's going to do everything he can to convert the second place into a win over the next 2 minutes. He's definitely not going to just roll over and sacrifice this. Oh no, we have had a mistake. I didn't want to say anything immediately because I thought it might be the internet, but that is Nick Leon. Finally a mistake from one of the two drivers. And now he's in a very precarious position. Lots of cars coming by. Has to let them all go by. He can now rejoin the race. And Eleanor will breathe a sigh of relief, because he is now in a position to win this race. He just needs to bring this car home over the next 50 seconds or so. Where is Nick Leon? How much time did that cost him? I imagine that cost him a lot of time. He spun the car around, and then when he wanted to get going, one or two cars came around the final corner, decided to wait for them, but then they were joined by another 6 or 7 cars, so he actually sat there for quite some time before he could go. And there you see it on your timing screen, confirmation, he lost 24.5 seconds in that incident. Definitely not ideal. There is Eleanor Pace sitting around Cheetah, and then Inque. Is he going to go over the line, or is he going to slow it right down? Slows it right down, and this will be, that's it, he's won. Nicely done, nicely finished. A little zigzag over the line, no flick of the lights. I was expecting a flick of the lights, but Eleanor has won. Round 8 here in KYALAMI. Very impressive race. Nick Leon comes home in second. He fought the whole way and just lost it right at the end. Would have loved to have seen those two come over the line together. Now we wait for the man in third place. Didn't think this man would be in third place when I saw where he was at the start of the race. But he has come back and grabbed that final podium position. Third place for Sania. Kuda is classified in 5th, Legend 6th, BR 7th. We're waiting for Nizmax. He needs to come over the line and classify in 4th. So he is on the lead lap. Folly goes over the line, becomes another driver to get classified. He's 8th. Obviously Gavin will not classify. The last driver on track is this one here. Car number 912, the Porsche of Nizmax, will eventually come home to finish in 4th place. And there we have it. Flicks his lights. That's the end of the season. That's the end of season 7. And that's the end of KYALAMI and the 2-hour race. Congratulations to everyone that was involved. Congratulations to Eleanor and Nick Leon. Even though he had that spin at the end there, they pushed each other to the very end and gave